There's this guy on the internet by the name of Avrona, and Avrona's problem is that he has a failing YouTube channel. Avrona asks for advice. He keeps making threads on Reddit with the title, "What am I doing wrong?" and he asks for channel critiques and things like that, but then says to almost everyone that the suggestions don't apply to him or aren't helpful. 99% of the time, if you give Avrona a suggestion, he'll find some way to say, "That doesn't apply to me, I'm sorry." Because Avrona believes that his channel is special. He says it has such a complicated history. There's no surprise that a lot of people looking at it the first time can't grasp it and understand how to give actual useful advice. So that's why your advice won't be taken. You just don't understand how special and how complicated Avrona's channel really is. So understandably, a lot of people get very angry when their advice is dismissed in this way. He has -87 comment karma. People say, "Oh no, not you again," when he shows up. People think he should be banned, and he has gotten banned. He's gotten banned from multiple subreddits and Discord channels. Not only that, he's had about 7 videos made from him, more or less. I'm the 8th, I guess. He's been mentioned in more than that. He's known on the internet. He's infamous for how he angers people by asking advice and then finding some way that that advice does not apply to him. That was how I first came to know Avrona. I tried to give him advice, and years later, I just still want to help him. I want to see him succeed. But to do that, I needed to understand why he is the way that he is, why he angers so many people. Where is this coming from? How do we reach through and speak to the real Avrona in a way that he would accept advice? So that's what I'm trying to do here. Avrona, you keep asking what you're doing wrong. I think I've found the key. I think I've found the real problem to what you're doing wrong, and I think I can offer you a solution. So I'm going to present the problem as I see it, my evidence for the problem, and then I'm going to offer the solutions, and I hope you'll follow me on this journey. So the first thing to realize about Avrona is that he thinks he is pretty great. I asked him to fill out this survey, judging himself on a scale of 1 to 10, and these are his answers. You can see he's above average on almost all of the metrics. You can see he gave himself a 9 on introspection, and this is evident in his comments. When he's asked, "How do you know your videos are actually entertaining?" he says he goes through them and makes sure that they are. Like, question mark, like, this is a hard question that you're asking me? Of course, I just go through my videos and make sure they're entertaining. I mean, isn't that what everyone does? I don't know, that's what Avrona seems to be saying here. When he's confronted on this approach, saying that his approach is not very realistic, he challenges that. How am I not being realistic? In examples or just evidence? He doesn't just accept that, he has to challenge you. You'll see this a lot in Avrona's comments. Whenever someone points out a flaw or something, he always has to challenge it. He doesn't just believe you, he wants evidence. He wants you to convince him of his own flaws, even though he's asking for advice. He'll say, "Where do you make such bold assumptions when someone says you're not very creative?" Someone says he isn't entertaining. He says, "Well, I try to make them entertaining as possible, so no, I don't even agree with you that your videos aren't entertaining." When asked, why don't you just believe people when people tell you that your content is bad? Because that guy specifically, I have no reason to trust that guy. Well, what about all the other people? He's not the only one telling you that your content is bad. None of the people that tell me that my content is bad are trustworthy. Up above in the comment chain, he acknowledges it's hard to prove. You can't prove whether or not something is or isn't entertaining. It's subjective. It's different for every person. It's like, do you like vanilla or chocolate? You can't prove that vanilla is objectively a better flavor than chocolate, but he still wants that evidence. He wants something. And to be fair, it's reasonable to ask, what is wrong with my channel, with my videos, with my entertainment, if you can give me any more detailed specifics on why my videos aren't entertaining. That's a reasonable question to ask, but we'll get to that later. I'm not really criticizing Avrona yet. I'm still just laying the groundwork. I'm presenting the evidence. I'm presenting the problem. Right now, I just want to limit myself to saying this is what Avrona believes. This is what Avrona has said in his comments on Reddit. Speaking of, he was asked by another user, a simple yes or no. Are my videos edited in a professional and clean way? Are they worth watching? Do they retain my audience? Are the thumbnails consistent? Is profile and banner have a professional look? Stuff like that. He answers yes to all these questions, and he thinks his content is good. He says he would never publish bad or flawed videos. He focuses on both quality and quantity. He spends all the times he needs to, and he doesn't publish it if it has any flaws. And this, when taken with that survey from earlier where he rates himself on a scale of 1 to 10, all this says to me that he thinks he's pretty great. He thinks he has the skills of a pro YouTuber. He has the skills that should lead him to the success that he feel is deserved him. So let's go back to that "how am I not being realistic" comment when his approach is criticized. He was given a challenge. Here's a video that has over 2 million views from someone who has 156 subscribers. And let's compare that with one of Avrona's Pokemon card opening videos back when he was still doing Pokemon openings, where he would barely break 200 views. And his challenge was, what are the differences? What's better or worse from this video that gets 2 million views than yours that gets less through 200s? Avrona says that the only differences he sees is that there's a slightly different camera angle and he opened different products. The difference between a video that gets 2 million views and the video that gets 200 views. Just those two simple things. Now, I'm not judging, I'm not criticizing, I'm just laying it out there. This is what Avrona has said, this is what Avrona believes. This is, however, important evidence. It lets us peer into the mind of Avrona, and we'll remember this for later. So if Avrona is as great as he thinks he is, if only those two different things are what separates his video from a successful video that gets 2 million views, where is the problem coming from? Why isn't Avrona seeing the success that he thinks he deserves? What's the issue here? And Avrona's answer to that seems to be the algorithm. It's some external factor that's keeping him down, that's keeping him from the success he deserves. It's not him, it's not his skills, it's something else, it's the algorithm. It's something else to blame. He thinks people already see his videos as entertaining and informative. He says that doesn't work on my channel. Being entertaining and informative does not work on my channel. So where else is the problem coming from? It can't be me, it must be something else. So when he's asking for advice, when he's making all these topics on what am I doing wrong, he's not really asking, how can I improve my skills to make my videos more entertaining? He's saying, how can I overcome this obstacle that I can't control, but that has been placed in front of me? How do I get around this wall? How do I exploit the system? How do I fool the algorithm? And you can see this in what kind of advice he does or does not take. If you tell him, your videos aren't entertaining, he'll challenge you on that. He'll actively resist that. This one suggestion, hey, the YouTube algorithm recommends longer videos more often usually, and he says, oh, okay, I'll do that. He jumps on that because he thinks that'll help him win over the algorithm. He's not worried about his own skills. He's just focused on exploiting the algorithm. This can be further seen in his comments where he says he's unlucky. It's not that he's unskilled, it's just that he's unlucky. Another commonality you'll see in Avrona's posts is that he never fails to mention how old his channel is and how long he's been doing this. In the topic titles of all of his "What Am I Doing Wrong?" he always says it's been going on for X years and only Y amount of subscribers. He's kind of really focused on the age of his YouTube channel, so that leads me to conclude that he thinks success is based on the age of a channel. Alternately, it could be that he believes that since he's been training so hard, he's been putting in all this effort for 4, 5, 6 years, he should be seeing the results by now. It's like, think about it as you're doing a sport. If you dedicate 4, 5, 6 years to a sport, you're probably going to be really good. Admittedly, the connection between Avrona always mentioning these years and my opinions on what that means are pretty weak. You can probably safely discard these last 2 points about how the age of his channel, and I wouldn't lose any sleep over it. Make up your own minds. But I do think it's important, I do think it has some significance, and I do think it factors into the way Avrona sees himself and sees the world. Now I do want to bring up a different subject, which is the concept of inside skills and outside skills in relation to a YouTube video. Say you're the boss of a corporation and you want to make your own YouTube video and post it up on your company's channel, extolling the values of your new quarterly savings plan or something like that. It doesn't matter. So you're the boss, you're in your office, you set up your webcam and you just speak into the microphone for 5 minutes and you make your video, and then you save it to an MP4 file, send it off to your secretary and say to your secretary, hey, publish this on the corporate YouTube channel for me. Thanks. So your secretary goes off and does that. Your secretary fills out the title, the description, the tags, the SEO, publishes it to a playlist, puts it up on the YouTube channel for you. Channel already has the banner art and a avatar for the channel. All that stuff isn't the content of the video that the boss made inside of his office with his webcam and his microphone. That's all stuff that goes around the video that helps the algorithm and viewers to identify the video and differentiate it from something else. All that stuff that the secretary does, those are outside skills. All the stuff that the boss did in his office, in front of his camera, in front of his microphone, those are inside skills. Let's just, for the sake of argument, separate it into inside skills and outside skills. Outside skills are something that someone else could do for you. They're not the content of the video itself, it's everything around it. So Avrona seems to be focused on those outside skills, and we can see that in the kinds of advice that Avrona takes and the kind of advice that Avrona resists. Here's by his own admission, he says, when it comes to advice people gave me, I've gotten a new logo, I've used that logo in thumbnails, I've gotten a new banner, started posting more pictures of cards on Instagram. In this list of advice he's taken, only one or two of those things have anything to do with inside skills, the content of the video itself, which is adding music to some of his videos. And even that's arguable, because I think now you can just add in music, background music to the video after you upload the video to YouTube, and it has its own little editor when you go in and do that. I don't know if they still do that anymore, or if I'm just revealing my age. In contrast, whenever inside skills are brought up, Avrona seems to ignore that advice. Here's a great example of that. All this underlined in red is inside skills. Like, he doesn't get what's going on, it's badly paced, the storytelling wasn't great, he couldn't understand what you were saying, work on your enunciation. And his response to that, oh yeah, I tried getting an in card, but I couldn't find anyone to make me one. He doesn't even acknowledge the bulk of the criticism given to him here. Another example, this user went out of their way to make a nice formatted list of 4 things to work on. Your video quality was bad, the tone of your voice doesn't really change, your videos have no intro or lead in, you don't have anything to hook me into your videos, and he doesn't really acknowledge any of those 4 points. He just says something about, oh, I read the wiki, but none of it helped me. Furthermore, when he was asked what are the most important factors in a YouTube channel taking off, to his opinion, he lists SEO, watch time, views, active subs, click-through rate, and he says, okay, so how does entertaining your viewers contribute to improving these statistics? At first, he didn't even answer that question. You can see the timestamp. The original question was asked 2 days ago, and then a day later, the user came back and said, hey, if you answer my questions, it might help you, but he says, none of your questions have anything to do with that. The conversation continued sometime later, where the user broke out their logic. If your video is entertaining, people will watch it all the way through, but you have a low average watch time percentage, therefore, your videos must not be entertaining. But he says, no, there are other reasons for low retention times, like they don't care for the style of the video or not what expected from the title or the thumbnail, something like that. They said, okay, so why don't you poll the people on Reddit and see what they think, why they would stop watching the video, find out what the problem really is instead of going on your own guesses. To this day, he has not responded to that user. It was 4 days ago. He's been active on Reddit since. He just does not want to continue that conversation at all. So he seems to shut down and just retreat or ignore whenever those inside skills are brought up. Whenever someone says, hey, the problem might be you, he doesn't see that. He's firm in his belief that it must be the algorithm, it must be something else, it can't be me, I'm the greatest. So that's it. That's all the evidence I have to support my conclusion about what the problem really is. And it wasn't that bad, only a little more than 10 minutes to cover the whole thing. So what is the problem really? The problem, Avrona, is that you think way too highly of yourself. You have a distorted view of yourself. You have an overinflated ego. You have narcissistic tendencies. So the problem is that, Avrona, you have a distorted self-image. You do not see yourself how other people see you. Your answers that you gave in the survey are probably not the answers that everyone else would give if you were to ask them. You have an overinflated ego. That is the problem. You know how when you are asked, how do you make sure that your videos are entertaining? How do you know? And you say, oh, I look at them and make sure they are. The phrase is, you are your own worst judge. You are your own worst critic. People are generally bad at introspection. People are generally bad at looking at something they've made with an objective eye and seeing the faults in their own products. That's why they show it to someone else. They say, hey, can you proofread this for me? Hey, can you look this over and see if you spot a flaw or something that I haven't noticed, because I'm too close, too invested, too biased to my own work to see it how it really is. Please look at this with an objective eye. You are your own worst judge. That's the phrase. That's the phrase for a reason. It has been around for longer than you have been alive. But you've given yourself a score of 9 out of 10 on introspection, so you think the rest of the scores are pretty accurate. You think you see yourself pretty objectively and pretty accurately, and that you're very well equipped to see your own flaws and to fix them, and you believe this very strongly. So when people tell you, hey, you're not very entertaining, you're very resistant to even entertain that idea, because that's not enough to overcome your 9 out of 10 on introspection. You said, no, you have no idea what you're talking about. I'm a 9 out of 10 on introspection. I think I would know if I wasn't entertaining, okay? So you have to blame your lack of success on other factors. You can't blame it on yourself, because you rated yourself a 7 out of 10 on entertainment, so that should be enough to get the success that you want, right? So therefore, what's keeping me from succeeding must be something else. It can't be me. So because you have this mindset, you're unwilling to actually improve in these areas. When people tell you that you aren't entertaining, you say, nah, I'm entertaining enough. You don't really believe them, so you don't improve. You don't think you have to improve. You think you're pretty great. You think you're a pro. So you're looking for success in all the wrong places. Success, the key to success, is right in front of you. You just don't see it because you don't think that's where the problem is. So let's just entertain a hypothetical here. What if you're wrong? What if you aren't as good as you think you are? What if these numbers that you've rated yourself aren't accurate? What would happen? What would we expect to see? Well, then you would be hurting your channel and yourself by not improving in the areas where you need to improve. You would be wasting your time looking at the algorithm and all these ways to cheat it and exploit it, when the solution could be really very simple. You could be overlooking the true path to success. That's what would happen if you were wrong. If your success on YouTube is based on how entertaining you are, and if you think you're super entertaining but you're really not, then that could be a good explanation for why you haven't succeeded on YouTube yet, because you are not entertaining and you think you are, so you don't get better at entertaining. So that keeps you from succeeding, and it's just a cycle that goes on and on forever until you realize, hey, I'm not entertaining. I should work on that. But that's just a hypothetical, right? That isn't real, right? We don't have any real data, any real proof that Avrona isn't entertaining. It still could be that the algorithm is just really against Avrona. It could be that Avrona's success isn't based on how entertaining his videos are. It could be something else entirely. So how do we prove it? Is it that Avrona's just not entertaining, or is it the algorithm is against him? How do we tell? We need evidence. We need proof. We need some data to work with. We need to take that survey that Avrona filled out, and we need to get that survey into the hands of as many people as possible on Reddit, on YouTube, on Discord, wherever Avrona hasn't been banned from yet. We need to ask as many people as possible How entertaining is Avrona? How good are his videos? Would you watch them all the way through? Why or why not? We need to find out what the people actually think. We need to get some real data onto what Avrona actually is doing wrong. This is a slightly different way of asking the same question that Avrona asks, what am I doing wrong with his topics? Because his topics just allow for free-form advice, which he then argues with. My approach, if we just give them a survey, you can't argue with that. It's just data. It's just numbers coming in. You can't argue with that. What they fill out is what they think. There's no room for, oh, I tried that and it didn't work. It's just, how entertaining are you on a scale of 1 to 10? And if we average all those responses, then we'll get a real number of how the real public, Avrona's potential and current audience, how they really see Avrona. So if Avrona votes himself a 7, on how entertaining he thinks his videos are, and everyone else says, it's about a 3, then we know where the problem is. We see that Avrona has a distorted self-image of himself, and he says, oh, okay, I think I'm a 7, I'm really closer to a 3. That should be the proof that we need. But if it turns out that Avrona is actually underestimating himself, or he is estimating himself correctly, if he's voted as a 7, or if he's even voted as a 10, he's the most entertaining YouTuber ever, then hey, I'm wrong, Avrona's right, the algorithm's keeping him down. So I challenge you, Avrona, I challenge you, I dare you, I double dog dare you to send this survey out to as many people as you can. I will help you. The communities that you've been banned from, I will go back if you asked me, and I will hand that survey to as many people as I can. Then after that, after we have all the data, you can use that to adjust your self-image. You can see yourself how you really are. Because it doesn't matter what you think of yourself, you have an audience to entertain. It matters what the audience thinks. If the audience isn't happy, they will leave, they will stop watching your videos, they will unsubscribe to your channel. You have to entertain your audience. And if they're not entertained, then that's a clear problem that you have to fix. Even if the algorithm is keeping you down, first of all, you have to make your audience happy. Then, once you fix that problem, then you can fight the algorithm. Then I will agree with you 100% that the algorithm is keeping you down. Once those surveys come back and it says that you actually are a 7, then I will be 100% in agreement with you. First of all, improvement can only happen after you realize that you have a problem. It's like dealing with an alcoholic. You have to say, I admit it, I have a problem, I need help. This acknowledgement has to come from you and you alone. No amount of proof, no amount of data, no amount of evidence can be shoved in your face to make you admit this. You have to say, of your own free will, I want to improve, I recognize I have this problem, I need help. That is step 1. Step 2 is to really listen to what people have been telling you all this time. Now that you know that you aren't as good as you think you are, go back to some of those Reddit comments and listen when people say that, hey, you aren't entertaining. Look at them with fresh eyes, with a new understanding of yourself, and say, hey, maybe they're right, and go back to the drawing board and work on being more entertaining. So your first instinct might be to say, hey, I've tried that already and it doesn't work. Like, I've been doing this for 4, 5, 6 years and this is how far I've gotten. How do I improve anymore? I've tried everything. What was holding you back before was that you thought you were good, so you didn't want to improve. You didn't feel that you needed to improve. Now that you know what your score really is, you can toss that idea out of your head. You can say, oh, I do need to improve, and then you can begin to work on it from there. Imagine you're on a sports team and a coach says to you, hey, I think you could improve in this area if you were to train by doing some pull-ups. So you go home and for 1 day a week, for 7 days, you do 1 pull-up and then you come back and you haven't improved and you say to your coach, hey, I've tried doing exactly what you said. I did pull-ups, but I still haven't improved. I've tried that, but it hasn't worked. Do you have any more suggestions for me? Well, how many pull-ups did you actually do? You did 1 a day? That's not gonna help you grow any strength in a muscle. You need to try more. You said you've already tried, and that's true. You technically have done some pull-ups, but you might need to do more. So maybe in the future, instead of saying, I've tried that and it hasn't worked, be specific in what you have tried and what the results were. say I've done one pull-up for a week, and the coach would laugh in your face and say, no, you need to do 5 pull-ups every day. You need to do 10 pull-ups every day. You need to do pull-ups to the point where you could comfortably do 50 pull-ups in sets of 10 with 30 seconds of rest in between. That's where you want to be. That's the goal. That's what success looks like. And then once you've hit that milestone, you should be seeing an improvement. And if you aren't, then you can come back to me and say, I've tried that and it hasn't worked. But until that point, you need to keep trying. So apply that metaphor to YouTube. If you say that you've worked on being entertaining, well, how exactly have you worked on being entertaining? Do you think it just happens naturally? Did you join an improv class? Did you take a test? How entertaining am I? And you fill out a multiple choice survey and you got 100% on yes, you are certified 100% entertaining. How have you tried? Help people help you. If you tell them what you've tried and how exactly you've tried, they can come up with better suggestions to help you rather than you just saying, I've tried that and it doesn't work, and then they get frustrated. Most likely, if you come back and tell them how exactly you have tried, they can fine-tune their advice and help you and give you the specific advice that you want. And speaking of specific advice, please do not actually ask people, how do I be entertaining? That question is too broad to be effective. There are a million ways you can be entertaining. It's very subjective. There's no process. There's no book you can read to tell you how to be entertaining. That's something you largely have to figure out on your own. But I believe that once you start seeing yourself as you really are and start actually improving in the areas where you previously think you didn't need to improve, then you'll just become more entertaining as a result. You being entertaining or not is not the root issue. The root issue is how you see yourself. And once you fix that, everything else will fall into place. So, to recap, the problem? Avrona doesn't see himself how other people see him. The solution? Get data. Actually poll people to see what they think of you. And then take your results, take their results, compare them together. That's how you get the real Avrona. Once you know what the real Avrona is, you can work on areas that you need to improve. And just some last minute advice for actually handing out this survey. You would want to edit it a bit, obviously. You don't want to ask people how much effort do I put into my channel, because they don't know that. You don't want to ask them how happy you believe you are. So just edit it with whatever questions that you think are relevant. And I noticed you voted yourself a 6 out of 10 on how happy you are overall. I believe that if you solve this problem with how you see yourself, that score will go up. You'll be happier, you'll stop making people so angry and frustrated at you whenever you ask for advice, you'll stop getting banned from communities. People will see you as the underdog, they'll see your success story, they will praise you for it instead of just making videos roasting you. Your life outside and inside of YouTube will improve, you'll just overall be a better person. This is life advice, this isn't just YouTube advice, this is overall life advice made specifically for Avrona. You're welcome. So that's it. That's all I've got. I will help you distribute those surveys, help you craft the surveys if you need them. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them. I just want to help you. That's why I'm making this video, not to roast you, not to rag on you, but to actually help you. So I'm here for you if you need anything. Feel free to reach out to me on Reddit. For everyone else, I don't plan on doing any other videos. I don't plan to make this a thing where I analyze and get at people's root problems and then help them fix their lives. That's not what I want to do with my life, so expect this channel to never develop into anything. Don't subscribe to me, please. But do join in on the conversation if you have something you think I've missed or something I think I've failed on. Feel free to comment on it and add to the discussion, and we're just all here in Avrona's camp to help Avrona, and maybe if you're not, that's fine too. I'm not going to censor my comments or anything like that. So a final send-off to Avrona. I hope this video reaches you. I hope you listen. I hope you do end up taking my challenge. I hope you fix the image that you have of yourself. And even if you think I'm wrong, even if you think I haven't gotten at the root problem, feel free to tell me, feel free to defend yourself. If anything you think I've said is untrue or out of context, sure, feel free to present your side to the story. I can't guarantee this is going to be a back and forth where we're going to make videos responding to each other. I can't guarantee that that's going to happen. But I hope we've at least started something here. We've tried to get at the root issue, or at least we're looking in the right direction. We're not focusing on symptoms like, oh, Avrona doesn't take advice. We're looking at root problems. That's what I hope to get out of this. So I look forward to hearing what comes next, seeing your channel grow, seeing you take this challenge and see you improve. So thanks for listening. Thanks for sticking it out for this, I don't know, 30-minute plus video, and I hope you have a great day.